Throughout history, the tides of regional power have often been shaped by a series of interconnected moves, each action setting the stage for the next, like pieces on a grand geopolitical chessboard. In the 21st century, the South China Sea stands as one of the most contested and strategically vital waterways in the world. The key to its dominance lies not just in controlling the sea lanes, but in consolidating regional supremacy. The hypothetical capture of Taiwan by China is not an isolated event, but rather a decisive move in a broader, carefully crafted strategy, one that could reshape the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. To understand this, we must look back at history, where the pursuit of territorial dominance and security has often sparked a chain reaction, with one conquest leading to another. The stakes in Taiwan are not just about territorial integrity, they are part of China's grand ambition to assert control over the South China Sea, positioning itself as the central power in the region. Taiwan's location, in the heart of the first island chain, an arc of islands stretching from Japan through Taiwan and the Philippines to Borneo, places it at a critical crossroads between the East and South China Seas. This geographical positioning offers China unparalleled strategic value. As an island positioned just 100 miles off the southeastern coast of mainland China, Taiwan serves as a natural maritime barrier, separating China's vast coastline from the open Pacific Ocean. Controlling Taiwan would grant China not just the immediate advantage of a defensive foothold, but also a vital maritime gateway. With Taiwan under Chinese control, Beijing would have the ability to project its power much further into the Pacific, enhancing its naval capabilities and significantly increasing its influence in the Indo-Pacific region. This would provide China with greater freedom of movement for its naval forces, enabling more direct access to shipping lanes and reinforcing its already substantial presence in the South China Sea. Recent advancements in China's naval capabilities, including the development of aircraft carriers and advanced submarines, highlights its desire to exert dominance beyond its immediate borders. The potential shift in Taiwan's status is further significant when considering China's long-term aspirations to reshape the regional security architecture. Taiwan is seen not only as a political and military prize, but also as a critical link to the wider maritime domain.
China, as one of the members in this region, has recently continued to conduct military provocations in the international waters of various regions around the Taiwan Strait and the Indo-Pacific region. It openly challenges the international order, and the international community views it as a troublemaker. The presidential office sternly condemns its actions.
In the context of China's 4 modernizations and the ongoing buildup of its military infrastructure in the region, Taiwan's acquisition would enhance its ability to secure control over the South China Sea, a waterway of immense importance, through which trillions of dollars in trade pass annually. China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, which includes numerous infrastructure projects spanning the Indo-Pacific, would benefit immensely from such control, as it would cement China's ability to safeguard its maritime trade routes and regional influence. Taiwan's capture could shift the balance of power in the region, complicating the military calculus of other regional powers, especially the United States. The U.S. maintains a significant military presence in the Pacific, largely due to its alliances with nations such as Japan, South Korea, and Australia. With Taiwan under Chinese control, Beijing could establish a far more powerful foothold, potentially forcing the U.S. to reconsider its regional security commitments or recalibrate its strategy, given Taiwan's historical role as a critical ally in countering Chinese expansion. Recent statements by Chinese officials have reiterated this point, with President Xi Jinping stating that the reunification of Taiwan with mainland China is a historic mission, and emphasizing China's determination to achieve this goal by any means necessary.
The complete reunification of our country must be and can be realized. 能够实现。台独分裂是祖国统一的最大障碍。
Taiwan independence is the greatest obstacle to national reunification and a serious hidden danger to national rejuvenation.
凡是数典
Those who forget their heritage, betray their motherland, and seek to split the country will come to no good,
的人，从来没有
and they will be spurned by the people and condemned by history.
人民的唾弃和历史的审判。
Xi's rhetoric underscores the importance of Taiwan in China's broader strategy to not only secure its near seas, but also to project power far beyond them. Taiwan's location offers China a significant stepping stone to expanding its influence in the Pacific and further consolidating control over the South China Sea. The island's capture would mark a pivotal moment in China's efforts to shape the future geopolitical landscape, amplifying its power projection capabilities and potentially altering the security dynamics of the entire region. Securing Taiwan would offer China significant military advantages, enhancing its ability to project power in the Indo-Pacific. Currently, China deploys substantial resources along the Taiwan Strait, its most heavily defended region, with approximately 200,000 troops stationed in coastal areas, along with advanced missile systems like the DF-21D anti-ship missile. If Taiwan were secured, these resources could be redirected to bolster China's operations in the South China Sea, where it has rapidly expanded its military presence. By 2024, China had deployed over 80 naval assets, including aircraft carriers and advanced submarines in the region, with new artificial islands and military bases facilitating rapid troop and equipment deployment. Taiwan's location as a potential base for operations would allow China to control critical airfields and ports in the South China Sea, enhancing response times and operational reach. For instance, Taiwan's airfields, like the Taoyuan International Airport, could be converted for use by China's J-20 stealth fighters, extending the range of PLA operations. With Taiwan's deep water ports, China could significantly improve the logistics and maintenance of its growing fleet, which as of 2024 includes over 350 surface warships and 50 submarines. Taiwan's capture would deny adversaries, particularly the United States, a strategic foothold in the region. The U.S. has maintained a forward presence in the Pacific, with roughly 60% of its naval assets stationed in the region. Taiwan has long served as a critical counterbalance to Chinese expansion. Losing Taiwan would force the U.S. to reevaluate its strategy, complicating access to vital sea lanes and denying the U.S. military key ISR capabilities based on the island. In sum, Taiwan's capture would free up significant Chinese military resources, enhance its power projection capabilities, and eliminate a key strategic advantage for adversaries, positioning China to dominate the South China Sea and further expand its influence across the Indo-Pacific. The successful annexation of Taiwan would have profound psychological consequences, both for China and the broader Indo-Pacific region. For China, it would serve as a powerful symbol of national strength and resolve, reinforcing the legitimacy of the Chinese Communist Party's leadership under Xi Jinping. The act of unifying Taiwan with the mainland would solidify Xi's vision of a great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, signaling to the world that China is fully prepared to assert its territorial claims, regardless of international opposition. Such a victory could boost national pride and domestic support, strengthening the regime's control and legitimacy.
实现祖国完全统一，是民心所向，时代潮流，历史必然，是任何势力都阻挡不了的。
This would also embolden China to pursue its other regional goals with increased confidence. Regionally, Taiwan's annexation could have a chilling effect on nations with competing claims in the South China Sea. Countries like the Philippines, Malaysia, and Vietnam, which have overlapping territorial disputes with China in the South China Sea, could perceive Taiwan's fall as a signal of China's growing military and diplomatic assertiveness. The psychological toll could lead to a weakening of resolve among these nations, with some potentially reconsidering their strategies for resistance or engagement with China. For instance, the Philippines, which has ongoing maritime disputes with China over territories like the Spratlys and Scarborough Shoal, might feel less confident in its ability to resist Chinese encroachment, given China's proven willingness to act unilaterally.
But let me give you this challenge, this further challenge. Do not be content with securing just the northern hemisphere up to Mavulis Island. Start planning for actions in case there is an invasion of Taiwan.
In 2024, the Philippines conducted a joint military exercise with the U.S. involving over 5,000 troops to bolster its defense capabilities against China's growing influence. However, Taiwan's fall could prompt these nations to reconsider their military alliances or reduce their public resistance to China's regional dominance. The U.S. and its allies might experience a shift in the global balance of power. The successful annexation of Taiwan would highlight China's ability to achieve its geopolitical goals despite the U.S.'s pivot to the Indo-Pacific and its commitments to regional allies. This could erode confidence in the U.S. security guarantee and make other nations more hesitant to challenge China's dominance in the South China Sea. In essence, the psychological impact of Taiwan's annexation would not just embolden China, but also create a ripple effect, weakening the resolve of regional powers in the South China Sea. It would reinforce China's perception as the dominant force in the Indo-Pacific, reshaping the mental calculus of nations that have long resisted its claims. China's recent military drills, particularly those held from April 1st and 2nd, 2025, serve as clear indicators of Beijing's escalating military capabilities and its growing resolve in the Taiwan Strait. The exercises, involving a wide range of military branches, including Navy, air, ground, and rocket forces, demonstrated China's intent to reinforce its strategic dominance over Taiwan. One of the standout features of these drills was the participation of the Shandong Aircraft Carrier Group, highlighting China's expanding naval power. The drills, which simulated air interception, strikes on maritime and ground targets, and joint blockade and control operations, were framed by Chinese authorities as a severe warning against Taiwan's move toward independence, specifically targeting Taiwan's president, Ching-te. This rhetoric highlights Beijing's determination to intimidate and isolate Taiwan diplomatically and militarily. Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense reported that during the exercises, numerous People's Liberation Army, PLA aircraft and naval vessels were tracked, with many crossing the median line of the Taiwan Strait, a critical demarcation that has traditionally served as an informal boundary between Taiwan and China. The increasingly aggressive maneuvers by PLA forces signal China's intention to pressure Taiwan, potentially preparing for a blockade or limited military action. Taiwan reported heightened surveillance activity, a clear indication of China's growing operational tempo. The drills culminated on April 2nd, 2025, with the launch of Straight Thunder 2025A, a large-scale exercise focusing on key military operations such as identification and verification, warning and expulsion, and interception and detention of intruding forces.
Their exercise sent a stern warning to the Taiwan authorities. The more they pursue their separatist agenda, the further the People's Liberation Army will advance its actions.
The exercise included the live firing of ground-based missiles in the East China Sea, simulating precision strikes on critical ports and energy facilities, key infrastructure Taiwan depends on for trade and energy security. This not only demonstrates China's military capabilities, but also serves as a direct message that Taiwan's economic lifelines could be targeted in any future conflict. A noteworthy trend emerging from these exercises is the normalization of blockade drills around Taiwan. This shift in China's military posture suggests a long-term strategy of building pressure on Taiwan, particularly as military exercises increasingly mirror the tactics that could be employed in a full-scale blockade scenario. Over the past few years, particularly since the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, came to power in Taiwan, the frequency and scale of these military drills have surged. This growing intensity is seen as a response to Taiwan's increasing resistance to China's demands, especially in light of Taiwan's expanding international engagements and military support from the US and its allies. China's drills also highlight the advancements in military technology that the PLA has made in recent years. The integration of drones, sophisticated missile systems, and advanced naval and air platforms reflects China's focus on modernizing its forces and enhancing its precision strike capabilities. Technological advancements enable China to carry out complex, multi-domain operations that could overwhelm Taiwan's defenses in the event of a conflict. The recent military drills surrounding Taiwan are not just routine exercises, but serve as strategic signals of China's growing military capabilities and its readiness to escalate tensions. The normalization of blockade operations, combined with advancements in technology and increased military presence, indicates that China is preparing for a potential military showdown. The exercises highlights Beijing's intent to intimidate Taiwan and prevent any moves toward independence while asserting its dominance in the Taiwan Strait and the broader Indo-Pacific region. China's aggressive territorial claims in the South China Sea, marked by the 9-dash line, extend over nearly 90% of the region, including areas contested by countries like the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia. If China successfully captures Taiwan, it would significantly bolster its confidence and military positioning to enforce these claims more assertively, especially over the disputed Spratly and Paracel Islands. The South China Sea is a critical global trade artery, with more than $3 trillion worth of goods passing through annually. Control of this region is essential for China's economic security, securing vital shipping lanes and access to abundant natural resources, including untapped oil, gas reserves, and lucrative fisheries that would further fuel its growing economy. Dominating the South China Sea is integral to China's broader strategy of regional hegemony. With Taiwan under its control, China would be in a stronger position to project military power throughout Southeast Asia, limiting external powers, especially the US, from influencing regional security dynamics and constraining China's expansionist ambitions. The successful annexation of Taiwan would provide China with both political and military capital to pursue bolder actions in the South China Sea. The acquisition would consolidate China's power in the region, enabling it to exert more control over contested waters and strengthen its position against any regional adversaries or foreign intervention, particularly from the US. China would likely increase its naval, air, and coast guard deployments in the South China Sea, enhancing its capacity to patrol and control key areas. This would include the stationing of more warships, submarines, fighter jets, and surveillance drones to ensure strategic dominance and deter rival nations from challenging its territorial claims. China would continue to develop and fortify artificial islands, transforming them into heavily militarized outposts. These islands, equipped with runways, radar systems, and anti-aircraft defenses, would serve as strategic forward bases, enabling rapid response and control over disputed waters. The construction of military infrastructure would solidify China's territorial claims and improve logistical support for its forces. China could escalate its enforcement tactics by conducting more aggressive patrols and harassing vessels from other claimant nations. This may include intercepting foreign ships, blocking access to disputed waters, and establishing exclusion zones around key territories, all intended to assert dominance and pressure Southeast Asian countries to either comply or retreat from contested areas. China would leverage its economic and political influence to pressurize Southeast Asian nations into acquiescing to its claims. Through trade leverage, investment projects, and the threat of economic retaliation, China could weaken regional resistance, ensuring that smaller nations fall in line with its territorial ambitions. To avoid direct military confrontation, China might escalate its use of non-military tactics to solidify control over the South China Sea. This could include cyber operations to disrupt communications, economic pressure to destabilize local economies, or the use of state-controlled private companies to assert control over disputed maritime resources, all while avoiding the risks associated with open warfare. While Taiwan's annexation would certainly enhance China's regional influence, it would also require massive resources, The political, military, and economic cost of integrating Taiwan into the mainland could divert substantial assets and attention, limiting China's ability to pursue new major military initiatives in the South China Sea immediately. Resources required for Taiwan's reconstruction, stabilization, and integration could stretch China's military and logistical capabilities. The annexation of Taiwan would almost certainly provoke widespread international condemnation, particularly from the United States, the European Union, and neighboring Southeast Asian nations. Sanctions and diplomatic isolation are likely outcomes which could deter China from aggressively expanding its territorial ambitions in the South China Sea. The potential for global economic and political backlash might make China reconsider its strategy to avoid further antagonizing the international community. After securing Taiwan, China may prioritize consolidating its control over the island rather than embarking on additional territorial initiatives. The complexities of integrating Taiwan, both politically and economically, could demand China's full attention. The focus could shift to stabilizing internal governance and preventing potential unrest, sidelining broader expansionist actions in the South China Sea for a period. Domestically, China faces numerous internal challenges, including economic slowdowns, aging demographics, and social unrest. These factors could shift the government's focus from external territorial ambitions toward addressing more pressing internal concerns. Economic pressures, such as managing the impact of sanctions or navigating trade disruptions, might also force China to reassess its foreign policy priorities. Even if Taiwan is not annexed, China could still pursue its South China Sea ambitions through alternative means. China's strategy in the region is already multifaceted, utilizing diplomatic, economic, and military pressure to assert its claims. Beijing may continue its efforts through softer tactics, such as building influence with smaller Southeast Asian nations, strengthening regional partnerships, or leveraging economic dependencies to expand its control.